to step out of the car, boy!
Mason roared, every word soaked in venom and authority, the kind of anger that didn't come from law, but from hate dressed in a uniform. His flashlight beam cut through the rain, bouncing off the windshield where Elijah Rowe sat still, hands firm on the wheel. The night was quiet except for the hiss of the rain and the low hum of Al Green playing faintly from the radio. You deaf or just stupid? Mason snapped, slamming his hand on the hood. His partner, Officer Dean Huxley, flinched but said nothing. Elijah slowly turned his head, his eyes cold but calm. You sure you want to talk to me like that, Sergeant? He asked evenly. Mason's jaw tightened. I said, get out, boy, before I drag you out myself. Elijah's hand twitched once on the steering wheel. He had spent years facing men like Mason, loud, insecure, hiding behind a badge they didn't deserve. You're making a mistake, Elijah said quietly. Mason laughed. The only mistake I see is a black man driving a nice car through Willowbend at midnight. That was the moment Elijah moved, slow, deliberate, pulling open his jacket just enough to reveal the golden badge. U.S. Marshal Service. Mason's mouth fell open. Dean whispered, "Oh, hell." Elijah stared him down. Congratulations, Sergeant. You just profiled a federal officer. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Splendid Tales, where true power speaks last. By morning, Willowbend was on fire, and not from flames. Every screen, every radio, every whisper in the diner carried the same name, Deputy Marshal Elijah Rowe. The dashcam footage had somehow leaked, and Mason's voice, booming hateful, was now America's morning soundtrack. Step out of the car, boy, played on repeat like a cursed song. Dean sat in his small apartment staring at the TV, his career unraveling before breakfast. We're done, man, he muttered. Mason, meanwhile, paced his living room, red-faced, shouting into his phone. It was a misunderstanding. I didn't know who he was. His wife looked at him like she'd never seen him before. You didn't need to, she said coldly. You just needed him to be black. Elijah didn't watch the news. He didn't have to. His phone buzzed nonstop, calls from the department, interviews, reporters, even strangers thanking him for staying calm. At work, his colleagues greeted him with silent nods of respect. You handled that like a man with nothing to prove, one agent said. Elijah smiled faintly. Because I didn't. At the station, Captain Laird summoned Mason and Dean. His face was unreadable. You two just made the department a national disgrace, he said quietly. Mason slammed his fist on the desk. He set us up. Laird stared at him. No, Sergeant, you set yourself up. If you're still watching, hit that like button, because this story's just heating up. The courthouse smelled of polished wood and panic. Every seat was filled. Reporters, officers, citizens, all waiting to see what justice looked like when the badge was on trial. Sergeant Mason Crowder sat stiffly at the defense table, his face a mix of sweat and resentment. Elijah Rowe entered in full uniform, calm as a shadow, his badge gleaming under the lights. Cameras flashed. Mason's jaw clenched. You enjoying this, Marshal? He hissed under his breath. Elijah didn't look at him. Just here for the truth, he said, voice smooth as glass. The judge's gavel cracked the silence. Sergeant Crowder, on record, why did you stop Deputy Marshal Rowe that night? Mason cleared his throat. He matched a suspect's description. And that description was? Black male, SUV. The courtroom murmured. The judge leaned forward. That's not a description, Sergeant. That's a stereotype. Dean swallowed hard, whispering, We're done, Sarge. When Elijah took the stand, the air shifted. His words were calm, his presence unshakable. I didn't file this to ruin careers, he said. I filed it because silence feeds the sickness. The next man you pull over might not have a badge to protect him. The crowd erupted in quiet applause before the judge even spoke. Mason looked down, his arrogance melting into shame. Elijah stood tall, unmoved. If you're feeling that justice burn, like and subscribe, because this is Splendid Tales, and it's only getting deeper. Months later, Willowbend felt different, almost cautious. Mason Crowder's office was empty, Dean's locker abandoned, and the department was under federal supervision. Both had been suspended indefinitely, their reputations shredded by the same footage they had laughed at initially. Elijah walked the halls of the police academy, his uniform crisp, badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights. New recruits stared, some wide-eyed, some uneasy. The badge doesn't make you powerful, he told them. It exposes what kind of person you already are. Power without empathy is weakness in armor. A cadet raised his hand nervously. Sir, my mom showed me the video. She said it reminded her that not every officer is the same. Elijah's eyes softened. Then it was worth it. Outside, the streets whispered Mason's humiliation like a cautionary tale. People laughed quietly when his name came up, ironic because the very arrogance that fueled him now buried him. Dean avoided eye contact with anyone who remembered. He had learned, painfully, that fear and humiliation are faster teachers than any lecture. Elijah didn't gloat. He simply lived, watched the bridge where it all began, thinking not of revenge, but of the ripple his calm courage had created. Naomi joined him at the window. Thinking about them again? She asked. No, he said softly. Just what came after. Elijah picked up his badge, watching the reflection of streetlights dance. Justice had not been loud. It had been precise, inevitable, undeniable. If you enjoyed this story, share it with your loved ones and tell us where you're watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories go. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Splendid Tales, where the quietest courage makes the loudest impact.